tried to get out, and the time was now.
Yes. No matter how many, this is not my second time getting to do that, and it still feels a little weird. Feels naughty. Yes, thank you, Daryl. Welcome to Sitting Down with Standups. As you can tell, I am not your usual co-host, Justin. I'm Alana Gonzalez, and we have a new lovely co-host, Jason Fylan-Mares. We are still here with the bean behind the scenes, making sure that all of our mics are checked and cameras on. And I've tried to remember what Justin says in the beginning. I'm failing miserably, but I'm running with it. I'm going with it. We're here to have fun. Yeah. Normally, we also start off with a little bit of banter, and while I absolutely adore the man sitting next to me, we are going to get to chat a little bit more on another episode.
Yes.
And I'm speeding this up because we have a creepy guy hanging out around the corner.
I can feel him. Like, I can't see him, but I can feel that he's there.
And also, you have a guest.
Yeah.
Right before we hit record on this, we're having a discussion about the difference between a sin room and a sex dungeon.
Yes.
And our guest shouts out, "Hey Justin, are you a priest?" So I have no idea where this conversation is going to go. But as for that lovely intro, let's welcome in Matt Conn, Detroit comedian phenom, knocking things over, Curds and Whey aficionado, and terrible memory. I said that his cord would be at on the back of his chair.
I'm glad we got to the bottom of that Curds and Whey thing, because that's been bothering me since whenever that was it. The
Little Miss Muffet.
Miss Muffet.
Senate of it
Always
eating
thought,
her
what-
curds and whey.
You would think in that 47 years I would have asked somebody, but it all came down to today, and you solved it for us.
Curds and Whey sounds like a tag team champion.
Curds and Whey.
You want to feel the ways.
This is me being geographically ignorant. But aren't the Kurds like a?
Oh yeah,
a
a group of fine folks that.
But from
Aren't
where?
involved.
Is it like a religion thing? Is it like a?
I feel like if I say I'm gonna get canceled because I'll
That's
be wrong.
probably
Like an Eastern Europe
Yeah,
sort of a situation.
there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Always just say overseas.
Overseas.
The Baltics.
Overseas.
The
Baltics.
The
Okay.
It's,
Baltics.
Asia. It's the biggest continent, and it's probably wrong still. Yeah.
It covers everybody.
Yeah.
Hi Matt.
Hey, Jake the Snake. I was like, anything Jake the Snake does, I'll do after.
That's what it took to finally get you on the show.
When you asked me years ago, I was like, has Jake the Snake done it? But don't fucking ask me.
When he's been here, we'll talk.
Yes. So imagine. I mean, you are a tall, strapping man, sure. But imagine.
Tall? I'll take it.
Imagine
you're a small
Jake
guy.
the Snake, 6'4" or 6, all of that snakeitude walking down those creepy
6 foot
stairs.
He
heaven.
was here
Yeah.
in the house.
Literally here.
Just walking around.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep. I have a picture of he and I in Justin's kitchen.
Yeah.
We changed this setup slightly, and I sat next to him while he kicked his shoes off. I'm like, I'm sitting next to a barefoot Jake the Snake.
Ooh, why?
It's not
I
a.
feel like he used to take his boot off in wrestling,
And
too.
it's sticking in people's face.
Yeah,
Is
wasn't
that
there
him?
something? Like,
Seems like.
make him eat it or something?
What was his finishing move?
DDT?
Was it?
Was it him?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. So, well, that was crazy because I told you you got to meet my sister, and she has.
Oh
a Jake
yes,
the Snake
yes,
story.
yes.
Where my sister, she and her husband, and my brother-in-law, they
Yeah.
do like Comic-Con local ones.
Yeah.
And Jake the Snake came a few years ago, so they get to pick him up from the airport.
Oh, sweet.
And along with whoever, so they're picking up Jake the Snake, and then like another old-time actor, like maybe from like Wizard of Oz would make sense.
No, it was
A classy fellow.
Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz, they were 118
he was
years
he was
old.
from overseas. A classy
He's from
guy from overseas.
So they get Jake the Snake first, and he's sitting in the car with my sister. She's in the steering wheel, and Jake the Snake, and he's like, and he must have known the guy. He's like, there he is. There's whatever his name is. And he's like, watch this. And he pulls his pants down and moons out of the car in the airport parking structure. This English gentleman, Or I don't know if he's English.
He's from overseas.
Or he may not
gentleman.
even be a gentleman either, but
Yeah.
and
it was
judging by his reaction, how did he feel about that?
They were just like, it was like one of those like, that's Jake. Hey Jake.
Just Jake. That's Jake being Jake.
That's Jake.
Yeah.
Let the snake away.
Awesome. Yeah. But
I was like, that's bold to like drop pants. But he's known my sister for like 8 minutes. He's like, you're cool with this, right?
What's
makes
your-
me think he's done it before.
Yeah.
What is your
That's his
threshold?
finishing move.
Moon's over my hammy. What's your mooning threshold? Like, we've known each other for a while, and thankfully
Yeah, yeah.
you've not mooned me yet. But what?
Oh, just wait.
I'm not a
coming.
mooner.
Yeah?
That wasn't my move. No.
Are you ashamed of your ass? Is that what we're learning?
Yeah, full on body, just full ashamed of the whole, not
Fair.
just the ass, the whole body. You know, shower with a t-shirt on, and
Are you a never nude? Is that?
I carefully place my nudity.
Do
Yeah.
you go in the community pool with a t-shirt on?
Yeah.
Because that's just sad.
I don't drink tequila. I don't drink at all, but
There's
tequila was the one that you're like, if I
Yeah.
drink tequila, it might be getting. I did like, that's like naked runs and.
A tequila will make you do a
Yeah.
lot of stuff you had wish that you had not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have. So, anyways, since I quit drinking, I haven't had a lot of.
Yeah. Life just slowed down a little bit, hasn't
The
it?
public nudity has come to a stop
Yeah. Life's probably better though.
so far.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, though, how long has it been for you?
Since I've been nude,
Yes, since you've been nude, since you stopped with the naked.
8
runs.
hours.
I haven't
how long
drank
has
it.
it
Oh,
been
over
since
9 years.
Congrats!
Bravo.
Woo. Oh man's he's got more than that.
Couple 20 something.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's good. That's actually one of the things that we connected over initially.
Yeah.
It was like, and we met, and I'm like, you want to go get messed up? And he's like, not tonight. I'm like, we're gonna be friends.
Yeah.
That was my test.
Yeah.
Nice.
He had drugs on him. He's like, take these.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, now's the time.
A-
If there's
a
ever a
trench
time to
coat.
fall off the wagon,
Yeah.
exactly. Today's the
Then
day.
he was like, oh, I don't do them either.
yeah. Where did those come from? Exactly. But yeah, that is something that you're proud of and that you talk about. What is it about being sober that you think kind of directs your life where you maybe wouldn't have been able to had you still been drinking?
In life or in comedy or
Yes.
everything?
Yes. In life.
Yes. No, it allows you to like show up a lot more. Like I was able to get here, no problem.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
you
was,
remember where your car's parked?
There's not like how many. Wait, should I cut myself off? I have to drive in 45. Do I
Yeah.
bring one in the road? Do I have a road here?
You know what I always say though, seriously, is that life is always gonna throw stuff in your way that you didn't want or expect.
Yeah.
And I feel like drinking the way that you and I probably both used to drink
Yeah.
is just a way to invite and accelerate those bad things. So if you remove that, you still have to deal with the other stuff, but it's lesser. You know what I mean?
There was like it was fun. Like there's that sense of adventure that I always liked when I drank because you're like, who knows where this is gonna go.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was weird is if you just kind of live your life and you build towards things, you do comedy, you have a family or whatever, like you do have a lot of adventure
Right.
that you can be there for,
Don't you feel like that can be a metaphor for being on stage too? That's something that I always love about it is like I'm up here, all the success is mine or all the failure is mine. I can't reach out, I don't have any help. This could go anywhere. Do you feel like that's kind of an adventure in and of itself too every time you go out?
Yeah, every show's an adventure. When
Yeah.
you show up, you're like, well, let's see what this is like. Is it then how's the room gonna be set
Yeah,
up?
everything.
Who am I with? Who's
It's so fun.
Yeah, every time. The drive.
Yeah.
The drive's always an adventure.
Talking, thinking in your head, maybe running the set.
I was like thinking about how much I look at maps. Just drive around. All I do is look at like the map
Yeah.
on my phone, like to get places. Like that's just something I probably watch that more than I watch any show or anything.
You watch The Road too, though, yeah.
I watch the road.
That's where I was like, where is this gonna go? Or
Yeah,
you
just like as far as like what I watch on a
looking.
screen, it's probably a map most of the time.
Yeah.
It's more than a Netflix show.
I think it's so fun when you get one of those gigs in maybe a remote place in the Midwest on like a January Thursday or something. And that's always like, what is
Yeah.
this going to be?
Yeah.
You
right?
and I have much different definition of fun.
You don't find those as fun?
I have had, as I'm sure you guys have as well, I've had some bad weather luck. So when you say a January Michigan show,
Yeah.
I'm envisioning
That's
being on the
true.
road for 5 hours, driving, white knuckling it,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
snow coming. They haven't canceled the show, so you gotta go. And
Yeah, that was how we first met off of a long show. It was like a 4 hour. It was a long drive. I don't remember
Yeah.
where that was at. That was a long drive though.
You guys drove together?
yeah. So we met at was it a VFW hall maybe?
Yeah.
Where all
With-
great friendships start, really.
Yeah, all of them.
That's
Yeah.
where-
It was
Your life always diverges out of it.
always.
It's always
the
a
meeting
choice.
point for.
Uh-huh.
It can go anywhere from here.
Yep. Take the green pill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was a Mike Ball show.
Oh,
with,
that's right.
With friend of the show, Kara Karachi.
Yeah.
And then I was stalling to try to come up with a city, and I don't remember either.
No.
But we were both at the exact right moment where we're like, yeah, we'll drive 4 hours
Yeah.
for $50.
Sure.
In
Exactly.
the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
She made me drive
Uh-huh.
with the fact that she was gonna bring treats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'm a big treat person. So we had like coolers and
Uh-huh.
I don't have heat in my car, so that's bad.
Yeah. And it was the
You had friendship to keep you warm.
Aw.
Ooh.
It was the stereotypically bad show. Like, sorry, Scott Zank, if you're watching this, and yes, I did just name check him. But it was the walk into the bar. If anybody had been paying attention, there would have been a record scratch kind of
Yeah.
moment. Like,
Yeah.
we did not fit into this place. They had the area for comedy and all of the equipment for comedy, but the people were not there for comedy
Yeah,
in any
that's the
way,
worst.
shape, or form.
Yeah, it was wireless mic. So you started like just walking around the whole place.
Yeah, I know you kind of stuck to your set
Yeah.
in a which I do want to get into a little bit more as your work ethic and your great writing, but I went a little off the rails and just started, I won't say yelling at people,
Yeah,
but
you hit that lady.
well, I wouldn't say hit.
There's legal action pending.
It
That's
was-
how much
it
we
was,
can say.
you know,
Were you
more
hosting?
defense.
You were like featuring like a 30?
It was like a 2 minute or 2
No,
minute.
we
No, not
were
even.
person.
both
It was
what
the-
like 10, 15, some like it was. They were
Yeah,
not
it was
long
like-
sets.
Who else was on
Yeah.
the show?
That was just there was a couple other folks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like a showcasey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're walking around the room trying to get some life into
Just anything
Yeah.
from anybody,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and you know, you talk to Cheryl at the bar who's upset at this, but
Yeah.
like it was just very much
That's so funny.
like
That's
that
so true.
type of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Like,
And this one doesn't
oh.
know there's a show and go talk to that one, but they're mad at the I hear
Yeah.
that.
One
Yeah.
point, we just read the Kino numbers.
Yes, we did. Yes,
But
we-
didn't you have enough? You had enough material. Oh, they just weren't listening, right?
Yeah, it was just they didn't. I don't think they knew there was comedy that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really didn't.
Yeah.
They
That's
didn't
always
care.
tough to walk into.
But it was at the exact right point in our comedic journey
Right.
that we're like, yeah, I want to do. I don't remember if it was 10 or 15,
You'll just take
and
anything.
we're just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
A road comic. Yeah.
we're
Right.
doing this. We're doing this.
Right.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to shake him since. Now he's
No,
like,
He's,
yeah.
he's like that.
he's like, hey, what's
I
up?
don't
Did
think if you had Jake the Snake on yet.
I can give you. I don't know if you've
You
heard.
want to talk about everything bagel season?
The abbreviated version of how me and this guy.
No, I
It's
have
actually
not.
Really great
Please
story. I
tell.
love telling it. The summer of 2019, I had 2 tickets to see Jack White and Brendan Benson perform at Third Man Records. So it's like I'm
Fantastic.
not going to miss this. Amanda, my wife, couldn't go. So I'm trying to figure out. I was in a lonely, sad place and have a lot of people to reach out to. So Amanda reached out to a work friend. I always thought I was going with the work friend. She's like family. We would go together. It's not a big deal. Amanda's like, I'm really sorry. But she's like, I can't go. But there's this guy that's going to go with you. I'm like, no, please.
Yeah.
I'm not. I go, I got to wait in line in the sun for like 7 hours. She's like, no, it'll be great. He's supposed to be really cool. I'm like, fine. So I go to the thing. and I'm in line for like 4 hours, which is the funniest part.
Yeah.
And I see this guy rolling in. You're wearing like red pants and a white like button-up shirt. And he rolls in. I'm like, I bet this is the guy. I didn't even think I knew you were a comic. Maybe I did.
No, you did. Maybe they said that, but yeah, I looked. You had some comedy posted, so I watched.
Which was
it
really
before I
nice.
went.
He came up to me and he's like, he introduced himself. And then he recited my joke back to me, and it was from my 101 showcase. It's some joke about like Oscar the Grouch and how people thought he was a racist. I don't know what it was, but Matt knew the joke. So then waited in line for another like 3 hours. Started talking comedy. Went into the show. We were right in the front. It was great. We could have untied Jack's shoes if we wanted to.
Yeah.
We were on Channel 4 News that night. It's funny, the camera pans, and it's just me talking, and Matt going, uh-huh. I took screenshots of it, just my mouth constantly. He's probably like, this sucks. But I remember we talked about, doing shows together, and I remember when we had him out to our show in Oxford for Dave Landau, when I introduced him, I said, he and I talked about doing this exact thing. So it's so cool and so we had this wasn't like, oh, comedian meets comedian. I had no idea. You weren't really in the game at that moment, were you?
No, I was kind of done. I had given a run or put some shows together, and then like getting established was tough in the scene. You know, you got to make friends and stuff, and I have kids, and you're like, I can't go like hang out.
Right.
You know?
Let's get in time and take a couple steps back, because you started doing comedy not in Michigan, and I know that some people watching aren't familiar with your origin story. So so when did you?
I started. Technically it's been 2009. So it was the first time I ever did comedy.
That's when you got that watch.
That's this is one of my sponsors. Actually. It's Casio F91W.
His birthday's in August, by the way.
But no, this is an excellent watch. And the one thing that it has alarm and it has a stopwatch. It also has a lap function on the stopwatch.
Does it tell time?
Day of the week.
But Matt, what if it's dark? Can you light up the dial? Is that?
No, I'm glad you asked that. Can we turn the lights off here? I'm going to show you guys exactly what this thing can do. You know what it is, though? I think technology is basically, they stopped telling us that we're leasing everything. Like, we're now leasing pretty much anything technical. You're like, you want to watch? Sure, you can buy it.
Right.
It's done in 2 years.
But here, just
there's a
lease
phone.
it.
Yeah. But like, you think you're buying it, but it's gonna die in 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So you gotta buy another one.
Constantly leasing things.
So I'm like, you know what? You don't need to lease a Casio.
No, that's for life.
I don't know.
That's their motto.
Is it?
Casio for life. I think it is.
That sounded so familiar.
It did.
When you said
It just
that.
came out. I'm like, wait, did I just say something? Yeah.
Can I tell you why I bought this watch without feeling like I don't want to be judged?
There's no judgment here.
And this may seem kind of
Judgment-free sex dungeon. Yeah.
Yeah.
It says like a Casino Windsor kind of backdrop a little bit.
Yeah.
Caesar's Palace. So I was reading this article. It came up on the terrace on 9/11. This is never a good start to a story.
Depends on where the story goes. It might be great.
So this is what I'm saying. Don't judge me. I don't know. I read the story, and then for some reason the article was like, and they synced up. All the terrorists synced up with this model of a Casio.
That does actually make you would need, because what if they were all in the wrong? Oh, you did it a minute early.
Well, I was like, I can't have a digital and to have any sort of interference. You wouldn't want that. Yeah.
And it was like, and then this article was like, and they gave a little bit of like when they chose that because they keep time so well and they're inexpensive. And
Homeland Security's flagging this right now.
I know, but then I'm like, all right. So I just like looked it up and I was like, I used to have that watch. My life could have gone a completely different direction.
Well, it's funny because I didn't want to interrupt because I could tell that he was working towards a very sentimental, sweet moment, but the beginning of your guys' meet cute is pretty fucking creepy. Like, oh, hey, I don't know this guy, but let me stalk him and memorize his comedy set so that way it feels like we already have a connection. That's how sociopaths work. Like, they find something about you personally to then mirror that person.
What are these other people coming out here? What's that guy having?
were talking about your terrorist watch.
Yeah.
I love how you
So
are
you're
in our
saying
cinematic
you're
universe.
saying I'm a sociopath? Is what just happened?
I think what she's saying is she's glad you went into comedy so that
I
this
could have been,
Casio
yeah.
just remains on your wrist where it belongs.
Could have
Doing,
been.
putting good out into the world as opposed to what it could have.
I'm just saying for $12, what you get.
But 9/11. Well, how old were you? Like 22?
I was I was 21.
Were you easily influenced? Yeah.
No more than I am now. I guess. It's about a terrorist watch.
Yeah, right. Pretty much.
Held time pretty well. We should probably cut all this.
Yeah,
I don't know
it's-
how this is
So back in 2009, you're somewhere else.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah,
do
we'll
some
flip back.
comedy.
Where were you, Matt?
I was in Canada. What? I was in California.
I was gonna say what? Canada.
Canada would be a weird story.
No.
This would be even more sociopathic. Now he just changes the story I've known for 4 years. Like,
That's
wait,
what I was like, oh.
Canada. Never heard the
I
Canada.
was wrapping up a logging session.
You were in LA.
Alberta. Where my fiance lived at the time.
Were you doing mics in
Alberta.
LA or were you doing shows?
I started off doing shows. Like I kind of had this really unconventional way of starting, where I took a class, and then which was a really great class. And they taught a ton of cool stuff. And then the graduation was doing a set at the Belly Room in the Comedy Store.
Nice.
Was the
Yeah.
class at the Comedy Store?
No, it was at like the community college or
Okay.
something like that. Which I was very comfortable with community college.
Yeah.
Did out to a couple in Michigan.
Everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
I taught it several.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's welcome. It's
I
all
got
good.
kicked out of Schoolcraft.
I heard
so-
that when I worked there. There's like on the wall they have pictures of
Like
kids.
they do at liquor stores. Like
Exactly.
Don't
It's
accept
like
not
when
checks
you
from
go to the
these
post
people.
office, there's a whole book
Yeah.
putting people in it for
Exactly.
I thought it was like for not going.
Yeah.
You kick me out. How you gonna kick me out for not going? I obviously stopped going on my own.
That's a very aggressive response.
Yeah. Don't
No,
come back.
but you're. Yeah.
Have you seen? I haven't even come this year so
Yeah,
far.
why
Why would
bother?
I?
They cared. That's why.
So yeah.
What's wrong with caring?
You
So-
can't fire me. I quit.
I graduate. Yeah, it's so petty.
Mhm.
It's very petty of Schoolcraft if you're watching. So then the graduation was in this the Belly Room, and nobody from my class came the night I was going. So I made some tight bonds there with my other
They
classmates.
just didn't show up, or they didn't show
show
to
up.
see you. Like they were supposed to be on too, right?
Yeah, some people bailed totally. And,
Oh.
Wow.
yeah, so it was just me in the Belly Room, which is the smallest room there, and me and my teacher and like a Daryl Bean in there.
Wow. How many other people were supposed to be there?
Probably like 8 or 10 or something.
That's weird. That's a lot of
That
people.
is so weird.
You know, I've come this far. It's time to quit. You know what I mean?
It was the third week. It was like 3 Sundays in a row, and it was so I signed up for the last Sunday, but I went to the other 2 shows, so and then nobody came to mine.
Oh, okay.
That's not very nice.
Yeah, I mean, so then the teacher was like, "Well, go ahead," and I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna do this right
Was
now."
there an audience?
Yeah, it was-
No,
good
there's
question.
nobody there. It was
Okay.
just, like you could hear like
Chairs. and-
yeah.
Yeah. Blenders.
So yeah, you could hear downstairs.
Yeah.
everything going
Right.
on.
Mixing drinks. Yeah.
So then he goes. The teacher's like, I was like, I'm not gonna do this. And he's like, okay, hang on. Then he leaves, comes back. He's like, okay, we got you on right now on the main stage, which is like the
Yeah.
live audience, like a live audience.
And what was
Real
going,
human
humans
beings.
were
and
there.
what was going on up there at the time? Was it like a regular show? And they're like, just give
Yeah.
us 5 and we'll.
Yeah, it was like a Sunday show, whatever that show was.
So in their mind, it's like kind of like a guest spotty, like just throw them
Yeah,
up
they
there.
just threw me in
Okay.
there, and there was like a bachelorette party up front. And,
Yeah.
Was it chocolate sundaes? Or
I
was it
don't
just-
know.
Okay.
I didn't. I was so
Because
terrified.
that would have been a much different welcoming.
Yeah. Is that Chocolate Sundays? Now I'm unfamiliar with that in the comedy clubs.
So it's something that they do. I believe it's the Comedy Store, and apologies if I'm attaching it. It might be the Laugh Factory, but I thought it was the Comedy Store. And so Sunday they do like their quote unquote urban night. So I was just picturing
Chocolate Sundays.
in his chocolate sundaes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Fair enough.
But I was just wondering, like, oh, it's a much different scenario if you're opening, in a sense, doing a guest spot in front of, say, Mark Maron or whatever, in a
Yeah,
Comedy Store
sure.
regular versus Earthquake. You know, like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's what I was wondering when you said it was Sunday.
No, I don't know, but I was like, I went from okay, like a second ago, I was like kind of happy because I'm like, I'm just gonna go home. And
Yeah, just
it
do
wasn't
it.
my fault. You
You
know?
check it off. And just
Yeah,
move
I
on.
tried. I
Yeah,
did my best.
Exactly.
And then so I went on and I did my time, and it went like well as far as I was getting laughs, which was just like got laughs. So much that I started just going into like stuff that I was just working on. You know.
Oh, look at this guy.
Yeah, I just started like how comfortable I got.
How much time did you get? 5?
5 or 7 minutes.
5,
Yeah.
7,
So I
yeah.
just started drifting into stuff I just wrote like that day, and
Yeah.
then my teacher guy's like.
Was he there? He was watching?
Yeah, he was like in the back, and
Cool.
then but it went well enough. And then this is where I'm like, I get off stage and I immediately want to like leave and go like call everybody I know, and they're like, let me buy a beer, let me hang out, and I was like, and I was like, all right, see you guys. And then I didn't do comedy again for like a year.
You're like, I climbed
I did
the
comedy.
mountain. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like-
planted the flag and then I left.
I was like, wait, so now I'll be back, or how does this? Are you guys gonna call me every week? How does this
I
work?
can see if you don't know.
No,
you
yeah,
don't
you
know.
always think like, and prior to that, like, you didn't know how to get into comedy. You just thought, well, I'll just try to be like really funny around people that I don't know. Maybe somebody who works in comedy.
Yeah,
Be like, "Come on."
exactly. Mr.
Yeah.
Hollywood's gonna call.
Yeah.
Mr. Comedy's gonna
Yeah.
call.
And then you don't know, yeah. And then so like a while went by, and then my wife Kim got pregnant, and I was like, I better get on this. I gotta.
Yeah.
And I started doing like, and somehow I got right back onto the comedy stores like rotation where I was doing the original room.
Nice.
Like every Friday, and so I did that while my wife was pregnant, and she was like, "Oh, this is nice. It's all about you."
I feel like we have in the past we've had some guests on who well-meaning, but it reads almost as if like I started at
Yeah.
Mike's and I really worked my way up, and I grinded and I was writing every night and I was doing this, and your story is quite different. Like, oh, I did comedy one time and at the Comedy Store,
Right.
and then a year later I just ended up on the rotation at the Comedy Store. How
Yeah, what's the missing link
how
there?
does that
I think you're calling me a
happen?
sociopath. Is that what this
Call,
is?
that's a
you-
callback.
Yeah.
To
Do
you-
sociopath.
Do you own the Comedy Store?
I don't know how that happened. I sent an email. It was and I mean it wasn't like they weren't paying. It was like a bringer
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
Were you doing clips at that time? Is that were people do? Were you like filming with your phone or anything?
I got like some from a friend. I do have I think my whole set from one of the like a 10-minute set from
Do you?
there. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It's tough. It's tough to watch. 'Cause
Oh,
I was
God.
Like, I did well, but like
Yeah.
the material was really. My big bit was this, and I was thinking, and I tried it again.
I was gonna say, did you bring it back? It's
I
like there's
tried
something
it, but
there.
times changed.
Whoa,
You know?
whoa, what's that? Now I want to hear it.
Somehow
I-
racism made one funny. Okay.
This world, man. You know? It's
Terrorists.
changing right. You don't
Yeah.
even recognize it anymore.
my whole terrorist thing was strong,
Exactly.
and then no, it was on this, and it's just different too. Like I didn't have kids then. I didn't, I wasn't I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And it was on playing pranks on your friends. You know, we did a ton of that. Do you guys remember that prank where you have the hose that sits next to the sink in the kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? And you I don't know if they still make them, but you spray off dishes with it. You
Oh
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember my first place, I had a rubber band around the handle on it. So
Oh, so you
anytime
would
you flip the
turn it
water
on.
on, it shot you. And like me and my roommate, we just had it. That was always on. So if you were getting a drink, you were like,
So you just left it there because it's
because
funny?
you're just gonna do it, and it was just like somebody would come over and you'd get them, and it was just
Right.
it was always funny. And I remember like the first time my parents came to my house, and my dad goes and gets a cup of water, and I'm in the other one, and he goes, "God damn it!" And he comes out of the kitchen and he's so mad, but he's at my house.
So
he's
we can only take it so far.
He's not gonna. He's just like his face is red, and he's got a white polo on that you can see through, and he's just like didn't talk to me till like the food came out.
What is it with dads and goddamn it? It's
Oh,
so
God.
funny.
Yes,
So
and
mad.
that
It's so
tone
funny.
is-
Like
God
he
damn it.
would have left if it wasn't for my mom. Like, and like me, it was like a big deal. I was like having people over for a barbecue.
So it was all
like my
awkward
first-
and
Yeah.
weird after that.
Yeah, he just avoided me.
I love that you called out the dichotomy of the fact that he then realized it's your house. Like,
Right.
he comes out
Yeah.
in this, like,
Yeah,
don't do this in my... Oh, it's not my
So
house.
basically, it's my house. You'd be expected to be pranked every time you walk through the door.
Yeah, and it was a ton of that. Like, that was just that life.
Hey, Dan! Pie in the face. Right after he's already pissed about it.
He just driving home like, fuck is
Hey,
he doing?
Dan, can of snakes, you!
Opens the door,
Damn
confetti.
you. Yeah, exactly.
Confetti.
Sits down.
Little flower on the lapel. Old school. It's like Kool-Aid.
It's just it's farts
Ecto Cooler.
everywhere.
Yeah. Whoopee good. Yeah. He sits down. It's just all hell breaks loose.
Just wanting to leave. So they never came over there again. Actually, now that I think about it, that was it.
I haven't
That's
seen
my
my
dad.
father.
Yeah, I
since,
was gonna
uh,
say. We send him updates once in a while, but he doesn't respond.
Just have a great sense of humor.
The kids are growing. Yeah. Kids are in college now, Dad. I don't care. My shirt is still wet. Bastard.
So the bit was that we do these jokes to each other, and it was like more subtle jokes I would do, like, oh, I like to, if he's having a party, I'll just leave toilet paper on the seat, like, so he's like, who thinks that my house is so dirty they have to put toilet paper down on the seat?
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah, your
Subtle.
pranks are really getting into the psych. Like,
The psych, yeah.
right. That they're really gonna start questioning,
Yeah,
like,
is it-
Oh.
that's what people think of me. Yeah.
But we would do it in like the bathroom, like off of their bedroom too. So like, who was in here and why would they do that? So the final joke was like, so my ultimate prank is that I'm gonna leave this letter to be delivered upon my death. That's going to confess my love for him. And so he'll think that our whole friendship, since I know him for so long, like I had been secretly in love with him the whole time. And then I went and I remember miss watching you change out of your bathing suit, just like weird stuff like that, like really like something like a little cringy. And when I first did it too, and I think which was the one that's recorded, it was like very vulgar. And then I kind of evolved to be more goofy as I later did it. But I tried it again, and it's not like a homophobic joke. The joke's about like if you have it could be if you just were like, wait, you were in love with me your whole life? That's weird.
yeah, like how perfectly
rethink
funny
everything.
that all of your pranks are focusing on their insecurities and their concern for how they're viewed by other people, and then you die and they realize that the love of their life, they'll never have a chance to love.
They'll never
so
know.
You've now crushed them.
Stay the
so
night
sad.
and watch you sleep. Like weird stuff that I would do.
So go ahead, please.
That was the joke. So, but I would pull this letter out, and it was like a scroll form, and then I would read it, and it used to do really well. And then I did it maybe a few years ago just to try it again,
And
and
it
it
was-
was. I think the time had passed on that.
Yeah.
one.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you. So it reminded me of a joke that you have. Then I want to get into a little bit about like your stage persona. So I think this joke is great. I think you and maybe one or two other people get away with it. I feel strongly if I did this joke, people would get really mad.
Strong to quite strong.
Yeah, when you make the joke about stop staring at your sister in her bathing suit,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
say like she's actually here. And one time you did, she actually was
She
there.
was. The first time I did it, she was there.
She was there.
That's why.
And I watched that every time Amanda and I watch that, and we laugh. I always say to her every time, how, I think it's hilarious, but how can you get away with that? In terms of like people not pushing back and going, I don't know that I like this guy anymore.
So I don't do that joke anymore.
Why?
Because people don't like it.
Is that why?
Because people push back and go, I don't like
Do you
this
think
guy
they
anymore.
do though? Because I think I've seen it
It
work.
depends where I do it. But
Yeah.
my wife was like, just take it out.
She doesn't like it.
Yeah, she's like really in tune with the vibe, I guess, in a way.
But
So
I
she's
don't.
like,
I think
eh.
it's still a fairly innocent joke.
Yeah.
There's nothing directly
Yeah.
vulgar about it. It's just a boy growing up being curious. But it's just so funny because again, it's your dad.
Yeah.
Matt, stop staring at your sister in her bathing
Yeah,
suit.
my dad used to give me great advice growing up.
Yeah,
He'd tell me things like, "Stop staring at your sister in her bathing suit."
I laugh every time.
But there is that point where you are you on stage for the most part. Like none of us are doing Larry the Cable Guy kind
Right.
of character work.
Yeah.
We are altered versions of ourselves, but we're presenting that persona to the audience. And I was actually listening to Mike Birbiglia recently, and he was talking about building a show, and he had a story, very funny, about a moment in his life, and then a dog died. And it fit in with the time, it made sense, and all of this stuff. But he had gotten feedback from a friend of his that said, the story's great, it's funny, but I can't ever come back from that. I can't ever come back from that moment because I just keep thinking about the dog dying. Or a persona thing where Ray Romano took out a slightly vulgar thing because it didn't fit in with the entirety
It's tough when you have a good joke, but it's like, well, now I'm changing up a little bit of my perception. Mm-hmm. If I said that right. So you're like, but I like this joke. Like, I like that joke. It's funny. And then I go, it's awkward because my sister's here. No, she's not actually here. And trust me, I would know.
That.
And then, like, I think that's really funny. And it's like, come on, guys, I'm not really.
I love that, but I would say probably if they're going to get off the boat, that might be where they do.
Yeah.
You know?
I guess sometimes you're like, is it worth sacrificing the subsequent jokes for it to have to bring them back? And you're like, well, you know, sometimes you just like, well, this is for them, not about me.
That joke is like way later in the set when you do it, isn't it? Because they like
a
you.
Few minutes in.
Oh,
but I haven't done it in a while.
I was gonna say you could like push down the, but you've got plenty. You probably don't need it. But.
Yeah, but I love dark humor,
Mm-hmm.
and not people don't always want that from me. So that's
a good point.
Do you find that your view of jokes like that has changed now that you are more consistently building longer sets? So, you know, as you're coming up and you're writing and you're thinking about building a set, if you're doing a 10 or a 15, it's a much different approach than now you're regularly doing 30, 40 an hour. Do you look at those jokes differently now?
Yeah, I think the whole, like, I just heard Colin Quinn was on a podcast, and they were asking, like, what made you all of a sudden you're kind of back hot again, or maybe the best you've ever been right now? And he was like, I got organized, and I thought that was like something that's
interesting.
Yeah, and then he said something like, I only really talk about these 3 or 5 topics. And you're like, so I don't know, I took that, and then I look at like what I write. I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of just write my kids, my wife, and my sister in her bathing suit.
All just family humor.
Right, kind of. So when you start like, and then so as I go through them, like some of it, like, well then, we don't need that one, you know, because then now you're kind of pulling away. And you're not going to write a whole bit about terrorists and watches or anything like that. So just let it go.
You just did. You know what's really cool though? I think when it's almost like that can be like one of your B-sides. You know, like the really, really great bands will put out an album, and they'll leave off one of the best songs and make people go kind of like look for it. So I think like if people follow you,
better.
Yeah, exactly. It's a B-side of Jeremy, one of their best songs that never was released. Right. So it's a perfect example. So I think if people are following you, they'll be like, hey, maybe I'll get some of that dark humor, because you mentioned a second ago you don't think that's what people want from you. What do you mean by that? How do you know that?
Well, I think you have like a you look a certain way, you sound a certain way, and then like, oh, you know, if I'm not the butt of the joke, like just like if my wife's the butt of the joke, they're like, hey pal, you're the victim here, not her.
Right.
So then like it doesn't work, even though it's funny, but it's like I had to constantly like, well, now what if I switch it over and I'm the one that is the idiot in this story? And you know, it's that's what I don't know. Now I do that. It's like fine, you know, like I just ultimately I want them to laugh, so I take their feedback.
Would you say that you are mirroring their expectations and adjusting yourself?
Like ultimately, like if I, you know.
You know, like a sociopath.
That's what it's all leads back to that.
You have to be a good sociopath. I don't even know fully what one is. Does that make me one if I don't understand
He's
it?
been pulling it over our eyes this entire time. I think that's what makes you one.
Wait, tell me really fast what one is, and I'll tell you yes or no if I am one.
You are. It's adorable.
What about a psychopath?
We can get into
Okay.
into that.
I'm on some kind of path.
You are.
And not necessarily a
You
good
are
one.
not
Yes.
on a
No,
path.
it's probably a bad one.
I am so heartbroken that we have to do this because we are on a time crunch. But
Yeah.
we're gonna, as Pat Sievert says, we're gonna start landing the plane.
Is that what anything? Okay.
I
could go a little bit. I'm still looking to see if the soccer game was canceled or not.
Can you check?
Yeah, can we?
Yeah.
We're gonna do a live check-in
This is
with
exciting.
Matt Conn's daughter
Exciting television.
and
It is.
see if the soccer game is still
It's
still on.
it feels like a cancel the soccer game day.
Yeah, like a rain.
Rain.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is if I didn't have this goddamn Casio, I could have just looked on my watch to see if I had a message.
See, there you go.
Ugh.
Think about how the terrorists felt.
I only do.
Yeah.
Hence-
When Bob the terrorist was like, I don't know, guys, this doesn't seem like a great idea.
Doesn't feel
No one
right.
else.
Yeah. Hey guys, I got an idea. Like that. If your terrorist friend ever says, "I got an idea," you're just like,
No.
Yeah.
So game on.
yeah, a little bit longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure that we don't. I want to talk about the things.
Yeah.
There's
Let's
so
do like-
much to learn and discover
like 15.
with
We do
Matt
15?
Conn. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. So back on then I do want to focus a little bit more on your writing. So you were talking
Yeah.
about being organized and getting like in overall sections. Like these are the topics that I talk about. How is that organization kind of manifested in your writing now that you're building bigger sets?
Yeah, well, it's just like I don't try to veer as far from it, and so it's like you plug this one into like that. It just makes it easier to plug in and then like go that way, and then if it is on my wife or on like like right now I've been writing games that I play with the kids, like kid games and stuff like that, and so then and all of a sudden now I got like a bit off of. I had a safe place to just try one kid game, and now I have 3. So then they're like, oh, cool, and then so like just having that, knowing like the framework that I work in, allows me to just like find places to like build instead of just trying to all the way. Let's see if people want to hear me talk about terrorists.
So are you? Do you find yourself more
I didn't
of
plan
a?
on talking about that.
Are you a forced structure writer in the sense of, okay, it's Monday, it's 6:00, I am going to sit down and write, or are you a constant
Yeah.
writer, or how do you?
I'd say there's a little bit of both. I have a podcast that I just started the second season. We call it a second season when
Yeah.
you don't do it for
When you don't do it for a while and then you
Yeah.
start doing it again.
school. We just can't do it when the kids are out of school. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like but that podcast is called Wait, Is This Funny? And that was great because I was forced to actually put ideas into jokes. So like giving yourself a reason to, I think we probably all do this. We're out in the world. We're like fielding things that are coming our way, and I always take note. Whatever it is, I got like Google Keeps, which you showed me, of like, oh, this is something, this is something, this is something. Sometimes you get the full joke. Somebody tells you the full joke, not knowing it in a way. And but then having that, and then having that deadline of like, all right, now put it into a joke form.
Because we're recording.
Because I have to.
Gotcha.
And then it's very obvious when I wasn't able to figure the joke out, and I think I'll still be able to just like deliver it. So that I think that timeline of at least having a check-in point where I have to turn all these collections of things I've noticed into jokes helps me.
And I think, and I'm curious on your experience in this sense, what that sounds like to me is almost the equivalent of open micing when you don't have kids and you have more time. Like
Yeah.
you are putting yourself in that experience of, I don't know if this is gonna work. Do you force yourself into those things, or are you still doing mics?
Mike's. I stopped for a while. I really like the idea of doing shows and then like slipping in some new stuff every now and again. But
Like the tongue.
Yeah, exactly. exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny that you say that because I just now have decided that I'm going to start doing some mics, but specific ones I really like.
Yeah.
If you ever do Tom Swan's mic
Mm-hmm.
and Wild Lake, I love that because I love Tom
Yeah.
and I love how professional he is. And sometimes there's people there, sometimes there isn't. But I think Finkel said this the other day. Like sometimes it's just about getting the words out, even
Yep.
if we all want the packed room, but it just to communicate and hear yourself say it. So yeah, to answer your question, I'm starting to get back into that. I want to build, a big chunky set like this guy has, and I think the only way to do it is to have all these ideas that I think are hilarious, but who knows if they're
Right.
funny to me, great, but it doesn't, as you know, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
unless they're laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is something, I will say I rip on this man quite frequently.
You can take
It is all from love.
Yep.
I haven't been able to focus as well because all I'm thinking is like, why is so much?
It's gonna be a
So-
long drive
so
home.
what-
Yeah, it's gonna be long and quiet. It's like,
You know what I think is hilarious is when all of your pranks really kind of attack the psyche and get right
It's
in
in
there.
my-
and
yeah.
just,
On my
just
own.
right in the.
I guess you call me like my own psyche terrorist.
The worst
But
kind. The
but-
worst.
and
Inside job.
speaking of Tim Finkel, he has said something very similar. But your work ethic is truly visible and palpable. There are a lot of people that everybody's comedy path is different, and there is
Exactly.
no one right answer.
Right.
But it is fascinating to watch you not only work but grow on a level that not many other people are able to do. And I do credit a lot to your focus and your organization because you do have kids and soccer games and a day job and other things that are stealing from focus, but your ability to really hone in and build the material and stretch out is really great.
Wow,
So kudos
thanks.
to you.
I used to do my homework on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
The smart kids always did their homework on the bus on the way home.
Always.
I did my homework on the bus on the way to school.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
and I don't know. I passed every grade I went to, so that was a good.
Most of us have, but
Yeah. I mean, I'm
It's not a high
bragging,
bar,
but
yeah.
I'm like 12 for 12 on grades.
Yeah.
Each one, they were like, all right.
So having that, what it sounds like you're going is like that forced.
I have to have a deadline,
Yeah.
I have to have a pressure, and I don't respond really until there is. So before, I mentioned like, oh, my wife's pregnant, I better do this. Then it was, that deadline was there again.
It's
Mhm.
a ticking clock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You gotta get
otherwise,
stuff to do, yeah.
left without that, I was just getting shit-faced.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And tomorrow. But then you get to like, I'm 40-ish.
Ish.
40-ish. There's not a lot of, there's like time, I'm not saying it's old, but there's
No.
also not,
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm not 20s, so
Exactly.
it's like if you're doing it, otherwise then just stop, don't be like half in and half out, just
Yeah.
do it. And so, it's family, and comedy, and, work or whatever.
And one of the other things that came out of that tight focus.
Uh-oh.
Thank you. I wanna talk
Yeah.
about that before we
Oh.
run out of time. Lovely
Trade
trade
If you
show.
look under your seats, you guys will both see one.
What?
Ah, no,
You get a book, and you
Everybody
get a
gets a
book.
book.
How about I just read the first 30 pages?
Perfect. Yeah.
That's good. That's good TV right there.
Chapter
Yeah.
1.
have a fire behind you, like fireside chat.
I'm gonna go ahead and start with the
Trade
Is
show
it-
with Matt Conn.
preface.
Uh-huh.
Preface.
Preface.
Yep, it's
However you want to say it.
preface and
And postface.
So, preface.
It was before your face.
You know what you should do? You should read the pages where you think Jason and I. Those should be the
Those
Oh.
should be the
pages.
best.
Oh!
Uh-huh.
Those are the best
Yeah.
pages.
I do thank you guys.
Would it be
guys
funny if
have
you
been,
couldn't find it because it wasn't in there?
Yeah.
Must have been
Maybe
an
there must have been a different
Must have been in
copy.
the first edition. Must have been the edition I didn't publish.
So this week I was asked to talk at a school. about writing. Yeah,
Congratulations.
in Novi for 5th graders.
That's awesome.
And they were gonna
Yeah.
let the distance didn't matter. They were gonna overlook that.
The parents signed waivers.
Perfect.
Fine.
You gonna tell your sister joke? That'd be good there.
Yeah, that's how it started.
Open with it.
It was so. It was. Shout out to all you teachers out there because I did two back-to-back classes, so like 45 minutes of talking straight. I was
That's a
like
lot.
exhausted.
It is.
And
Yeah.
you've been in that world.
Done it, yeah.
But it was so fun talking to these kids, and
How old? I'm sorry if you said
5th grade.
Okay.
So 10 years old.
Yeah, but we talked about writing, and then I played some comedy clips. I read some greeting cards to them. Not those.
Did they like them?
They liked some of them. There was one that was like that was I knew would probably work for them. Was there's no favorites in this family, just least favorites, and that's you. And the kids were like, oh!
Like NBA dudes after a dunk, like falling on each other. They're like, oh, dog! Holding up a sign 10, you know.
They were like, oh, that's gonna cause drama or issues. They had all these like words for stuff.
So will you tell, like, for the people that don't know, what the genesis of the greeting cards was?
Yeah. So I had this bit where, because it was like true, and I didn't bring that one, of course, but where as a dad, you get these like cards, and compared to like my wife always gets this real flowery card from the kids. They're like, oh, you're the best mom, blah.
Yeah.
You know, and then mine is like, what do you get the most perfect dad in the world? And it's like, who knows? I'll worry about that when I get one. And they're always like, dads always get this backhanded thing, and so that was just my joke. I didn't have anything else to it. I wrote it because it was a very similar card that I actually did get. So I just like wrote the actual punchline I wanted in that card, and that's what I brought on stage.
Dude, I haven't seen that one. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. You see that one?
And then, so I just had that. That was just like a simple joke. And then it grew, and I had another one, and then it turned into like, oh, I'm going to... And somebody was like, this lady at a show was like, you should just make these cards. Because I was just like...
Is that somebody just said that?
Yeah.
That's a...
Because I was just saying, well, like, what if the card said this?
Right.
Instead of like not actually having them. So then I started making them, and it's funny. You learn a lot. It's interesting because greeting cards, for one, is the only industry that's like never. It's only gone up, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, and like it's a very like predictable thing. Like women buy greeting cards.
Right.
Men not as much.
Yeah.
But women buy greeting cards.
Real quick, great story. At Traverse City Comedy Fest, we were at the All Clean show at the Traverse City Opera House.
Yeah.
It was you, Jason Jamerson, Pat, all these great people. And everybody had a great time. Amanda was in the bathroom afterwards, and there was a little girl that was there with her mom. And the mom said, did you like the show? And she's like, yeah. Except that one guy, his cards were so mean. The one about grandma and grandpa. It's so fun. I love that because here's this clean show. Here's this squeaky clean great guy. And you upset a little girl. I'm like, I'm so proud of him on a different level.
Yeah.
Now. It's so good.
I met that girl. She was a bitch.
She was kind of a bitch. Real snippy.
Yeah, she just came around. Get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, exactly. You should. By the way, is that the card for her? This one is a little darker than you go. Like that's.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
this was interesting. This has a backstory because it was Mike Green had told me that his wife had this idea for a card.
Yeah.
And I actually made it to just give him like, oh, this is cool. Like
Sure.
And then on the way to the show, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have someone read it in the crowd because I don't want to say it. Was it? Did you know this card?
Yes, but because I saw it being read.
Oh yeah.
True story. I've never said that word in my entire life.
You never said it?
Oh,
The word has never come out of my mouth ever.
I don't think we should say it on here. I think it's better just not to know what it is.
I think it's an show the front. So
It says roses are red, violets are blue, and then you're something. Should I show?
and it doesn't rhyme,
Yeah.
which is great.
It doesn't rhyme.
No.
So the funny part is somebody that when I was at the weekend at When I Stands every night, I was like, it worked so well the first night that I kept doing it, and
Well, you would give it out to the crowd and have somebody read
yeah,
it.
like somebody up front, like they would just read it, and there just wasn't enough time to process it, and I think you're a little anxious because you're reading this into a
You just
microphone.
want to do it quickly.
You just want to do it right.
Yeah, exactly.
And
That's a good
they
point.
would say that word and it'd be like, and it was like so fast of like, oh gosh, I shouldn't have done that.
But what a cool reaction! Like, look
Yeah.
at what you did. That's cool.
And then I would be like,
Word.
it doesn't say that.
The
Yeah.
password is
Like, what is she doing over there?
Yeah. So it was a fun like kind of gag for that weekend at school.
All right, let's load up. This
Newest
one
song.
this is my favorite.
And shout out, this is my editor.
Which I'm gonna call you out again, all out of love,
Yeah.
because this is one that I did not edit.
No, I didn't even. I don't think I showed you that.
You did not show it to me. I would say probably 95% of your cards I see in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
form. The very first thing that I noticed when I glanced down at 30 seconds is there's a huge typo in this card, and
I saw
and
it.
yeah, and I was like, no, don't show that card.
Did I spell violets wrong?
Yeah, you sure
Oh
did.
my gosh.
You sure did.
Nobody's noticed it.
It was the first. I was like, I've never seen that card because I would have.
You would have caught it.
I would have called that out to you.
Oh, I just ordered a bunch more of those.
Maybe that's the collector's edition.
I'm like, I've sold a good amount of these. It's become pretty popular, which is weird. And but maybe the person that's buying that isn't like ever going to notice that.
Yeah.
I think if the internet has taught us anything, it's that it's people spelling.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Not great.
Exactly.
Not
Forget the
great.
punctuation. We don't need it.
Well, I think we should like change how we teach kids to spell, and like let's just play this because with autocorrect, like should not be like let's learn how to get it close.
Yep.
Let's get it close, guys.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
that's what I prescribe to is to
Yeah.
get
Get it close. Get it in the ballpark, and then let
Yeah,
the
yeah.
technology do the rest.
Like, the computer's like, get out of the way, dummy.
Yeah, I got this. I got this again.
Again. This was the one that we just had. So thank you, Lena. She's the first person I always send my cards to, except for this one. And she gives me the thumbs up or the thumbs down.
Or that.
This one says, "I love the way you look at me when I'm pooping."
And look at it's got the.
It's got the
It's
poop right
Who
there.
does the artwork?
That is me. I drew that.
Did you really?
No.
Stock.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's a stock one.
So where can people buy your cards, buy your books,
Yeah.
see where you're doing shows, all that kind of stuff?
MattConnComedy.com. I secured the .com.
That is, and you say that on stage. Check me out at mattconncomedy.com. Like that is
It's a lot, right?
it, but it's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun.
It's fun to say.
mattconncomedy.com.
It's like
good
Dun
alli-
Dimmadome.
Can't
Mayor
get it
that-
out.
It's good alliteration.
Dimmadome.
Alliteration.
Con with 2 N's, but
Matt
if you're
Conn
watching this, you already
comedy.com.
know because it's in the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's it. Check it out. They got a bunch of greeting cards and a bunch of books. The book is one of the top right now selling like the top 800,000 book in the country right now.
That's fantastic. It's the #1 selling book by Matt Conn.
#1 on that page. Yep.
Because I think that's still a factual statement. The #1 selling book by Matt Conn means it's the highest book that you've ever sold.
Yeah, it's the
So it's
number one.
also a correct.
It's
That's
all,
how you should market
everything
it.
you've
That's
said
probably
is correct.
Yeah.
I can't wait to look up what a sociopath is. I got a ton of stuff to do.
A lot of
I
homework.
absolutely, truly adore you, and thank you so much
I
for
love you
coming
guys.
on.
This has been great.
Love you.
Proud of this guy.
Thank you,
Let's.
Justin.
So mattconncomedy.com. Where can people find you out in the world, Jason?
All social media at Doomsday Shelter Comedy.
To go
It's
along with the shirt.
representing. Thank
and
you.
I am at Gonzaleza, GONZALEEZA. We don't have Justin locked up just yet. He will be back in future episodes. But thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
talk
you.
to
It's a
soon.
pleasure and honor. Thank you.
Bye.
Time was now.